Hey everybody, Bungzy here with another ultralight review on ultralight backpacking. Well, sorta. Yesterday I released my review of the Notch Li by Tarptent. I have my hat in hand, as I was wrong about something. The grade of Cuban Tarptent uses is the same as the default grade used by others, such as Z-Packs. Thanks to a couple subscribers for pointing this out. I was shocked and didn't believe it at first, but went back to confirm this myself. Z-Packs talks a bit about laminates they apply. I thought this might be the explanation, but no. At least I couldn't detect one when fondling my Notch Li and Duplex side by side. They appear to be very similar, if not the same material. Yes, I had trouble with the Cuban used in the Notch Li, but I wrongly jumped to the conclusion that the problem was the grade of Cuban used. So let me back up a step. Here are the facts. Fact number one, the Cuban stuff sack made by Tarptent started to rip at the bottom seam almost immediately. Fact number two, one night on the trail my trekking pole slipped during setup and went right through the Notch Li roof as if it wasn't even there. Those are the facts. Again, I wrongly jumped to the conclusion that thinner material choices was to blame. In actuality, there are design differences that are to blame. Let's start with the stuff sack. In this video, the green sack is the Tarptent stuff sack and the blue one is Z-Packs. Tarptent employs a much simpler design with just one simple seam across the bottom. This is where the rip started to happen. It's hard to see as I enforced it with some Cuban tape. Now take a look at the Z-Packs design. I, for one, don't have the words to describe their design, but it's far more complex. I've been using Z-Packs gear for years and have never had a seam fail. Now, I actually don't use a tent stuff sack in the field, regardless of the tent. So the tent stuff sack issue in and of itself, it's no big deal to me. But the point is it did give me pause. It planted a seed of concern in my head. Let's now move on to where my trekking pole pierced the Notch Li. Just as we are all on the same page, both Z-Packs and Tarptent use trekking poles to create the ridgeline. The Z-Packs design has the handle pointed up and the tip in the ground. By default, Tarptent is the opposite. The trekking pole handle is on the ground and the tip is pointing up. On a side note, Tarptent does mention in passing that there is some kind of adapter should you want to reverse this. I don't know what it is, how much it costs or weighs, or what it entails. Getting back to the tent though, they both create fairly heavily enforced pockets at the end of the ridgeline where the trekking pole is to be placed. In this video you'll see them up close. To differentiate, the small one with the gold colored grommet is the Notch Li and the larger one without the grommet is the Duplex. As far as craftsmanship goes, they are both very well made. Upon reflection though, this is where the issue seems to arise. Again, it turns out it's not the fabric. For starters, the default design with the Notch Li is with the trekking pole tip facing up. Clearly, that is a more risky design than the handle-up design of the Duplex. But there's more. While the Notch Li pocket is well made, it is much smaller than the Duplex design, and B, it is also far more shallow than the Duplex design. So, should your trekking pole slip for whatever reason, choice of tip up or handle up aside, it is far more likely to slip out of the Notch Li pole pocket than slip out of the Duplex pole pocket because of depth. So a tip up design with a relatively shallow pole pocket is asking for trouble in my opinion, especially for an idiot backpacker like me who was raised on Z-Packs. I didn't even think to put much closer attention to this during setup. Blame the backpacker if you want. My advice to you is to be very careful during setup, especially if you're coming from using a Z-Pack tent. The shallow pole pocket means there isn't much room for error. My advice for Tarptent, make your pole pocket deeper or just redesign it with the handle up. I'll say it again, this is a really neat tent with lots of cool features you won't find anywhere else. But let my experience be a warning. You need to be extra careful with these pole pockets. So that wraps up this video. That's all the time I need. I hope I gave you something to think about. Subscribe to my channel by clicking the Bungzy logo, and I'll catch you on my next ultralight review on ultralight backpacking. See ya.